We've got a breaking story coming there. Remember, ETNA was the first to flag off that there could be a possibility of a subsidy burden hike for upstream companies, particularly negative for ONGC there. There were talks of probably hiking. The government could probably hike their burden from about 33.3% that is there currently to about 38%. This was obviously going to be very negative for ONGC. So pull up the stock and there you have the news coming now that the government has actually hiked the subsidy burden. ONGC has started to react negatively. Remember, it had fallen almost 7% when just some flashes and not any confirmed news had come out about this particular act by the government. But now they've said that they are going to hike the subsidy burden, and ONGC is one of the key losers there, and it's starting to collapse right now as we speak. An intraday tick-by-tick chart is something that you should pull up on your screen. The gash right now is just widening, and you've got deeper gashes coming into the counter there. ONGC now 281 is where it's currently trading at. Remember, any which ways, because of the high crude oil prices, the subsidy burden for oil marketing companies was any which ways elevated, because of which their profits were reflecting the way they were. They were feeling the pinch, and the government is like they have to subsidize them. They have to give them, some leeway, and probable action to that is the fact that they've actually gone ahead and said that they are going to hike the subsidy burden for upstream companies. ONGC being the key loser out there. We spoke to the management. The management had also indicated that this could have an implication on the follow-on public offer. Valuations can be turned around and tweaked around. But let's go across straight to Ajay. Ajay, we were waiting for this news and it has come out. Rise in subsidy burden for ONGC. It's already started to plummet right now.
That's correct, Devna. I mean, it was the biggest development which traders on the street as well as investors of ONGC were watching out for. There was some relief rally which came in because Mr. Hazarika went on the channel and said that they have not been communicated about the rise in their contribution towards subsidy. But a lot of smart money had already exited the counter, and that's why it was almost nothing compared to how the stock had lost. But coming to the main story, close to 30,000 crore, 31,000 crore will be the total loss which the upstream companies will have to bear now that the news has come on PTI saying that the government has agreed and they would make additional compensation being shed by ONGC, which actually has close to 80% of the share in the upstream subsidy contribution. So this is definitely a news which is negative for ONGC. We also spoke to several oil ministry sources on their reaction, because till now the ministry did not react on it. What they said was that in FY11, the profitability of ONGC is much higher compared to FY10. The gas prices have gone up. Their realizations are much better. So there's ONGC, which also acts like a big pocket, which is a PSU company for the government. So they would make ONGC share higher burden this time round. Of course, some part would also go to Oil India and GAIL, but the lion's share of this additional will be shared by ONGC.
What kind of a relief? Okay, while on one side ONGC is looking at that additional burden, but will oil marketing companies take a breath of fresh air now?
Well, ET has carried, a news report today which says that the ministry is mulling that around 6,000 crore will be the burden which oil marketing companies will have to share in FY11. Now, if you take this account, Devna, 6,000 crore would be shared by HPCL, BPCL and IOC. Barely enough to keep them in profits for this year. 79,000 crore is the total losses. So if you take that, making one-third, close to 41,000 crore already being dispersed as cash compensation, you're already talking about 30,000 crore going towards upstream, where ONGC comes in to pitch in the maximum. So this is already to a large extent in the price, but look at the way ONGC stock is reacting today. So this is probably the bystanders who did not take a call on ONGC stock in the last 72 hours that this news developed are actually, looks like they are completely selling now that the news is actually coming from PTI.